Ladies and gentlemen, socialists cheat, mandating election laws. Please welcome, from Louisiana, Attorney General Jeff Landry. Senior Vice President of External Relations at Convention of States, Patty Meckler. From Utah, Attorney General Sean Reyes. And your moderator, former White House Deputy Press Secretary, Hogan Gidley.
Hello, CPAC. How's everybody doing today? Howdy, that's right. There you go. That's better. I got my boots on. I got the memo. I know. Well, folks, I am so happy to be here with you guys today and with this incredible panel to talk about, I would say, the most important issue we face today in this country, and that's election integrity. And I am sure many of you are here because you don't like the current trajectory of this country. You want safe communities, you don't have them. You want energy independence, we ain't got it. You want low inflation, we're at record highs. Well, folks, the only way we change those things is to get people elected to office who want the same things you want and who can put in place those policies. I'm here to tell you it's getting more difficult for that to happen if the elections are fraught with illegalities, irregularities, anomalies, and yes, fraud. Now, Joe Biden and the Democrats consistently say that all the policies that they put in place, all the things that are happening, well, they're just happening to him. Folks, they're happening because of him. It's time to make a change, and we make changes in this country through the election process, and it's time to clean it up, and the folks on this panel can help us do it. So, first things first, a state I know really well enough. Now, I'll be honest, my mama would kill me by not putting ladies first. But I love Patty, but she's going to go last, and I'm going to do this for a reason. Because you know the U.S. Constitution gives the right and responsibility to the state legislatures to decide the time, manner, and place of our elections. And those laws have to go through a lot of legal challenges, hence our AGs. Governors have to sign them. A lot of work has to be done before we can protect every legal vote and every legal voter. Well, we have Attorney General Jeff Landry with us now from the great state of Louisiana. One of the only people here at this conference that just doesn't talk funny. I appreciate the way you talk. I get your accent. But one of the things you guys recognized early on in Louisiana is something no one else saw coming, and it was Zuckerbucks. So tell us a little bit about what you saw, the problems you saw, and how you got it stopped in your state.
Well, first of all, I think it's important to recognize that it's not the government's job to entice people to go vote. It's the government's job to perform the elections and ensure that every eligible voter has an opportunity to vote and that every legal vote is counted, right? So we start from there. What we saw in October of 2020, before November, actually it was in late September, our Secretary of State alerted us to grant applications that were going out in Louisiana parishes, because we have parishes and not counties.
Right.
That's why I talk like this. And, and he was concerned, and so we started looking at it, and what we found was this organization was giving out these grant applications and looking to dole out money directly to our election officials. And it was really only going to parishes that had a high concentration of Democrat voters. And so we immediately sued. In fact, we were the only state back then to actually sue Mark Zuckerberg. And it created a chilling effect.
You can clap for that.
And we're still suing him. And because we knew, and because what they were doing and what we knew then was not anything of what we know now, which is unbelievable, which what they were doing was they were creating a ballot harvesting operation under which they were turning the government into an arm of the Democrat Party, in some states in a legal manner. And so we sued them. And then it is from that suit that you saw all of the other information that came out. And that's the problem, Hogan. You see that in the socialist countries, where basically the government is married to one party.
Right.
That's what happens in China. And that's exactly what Mark Zuckerberg and them's attempt was to rig the election in a way that favored Joe Biden, that sprinkled all this money out and turned our election officials into arms of the Democrat parties. In Louisiana, we said no.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. Great work, sir. Now, you guys are working on this Zuckerbucks thing. A lot of states have banned it as well, and that brings me to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, Sean, you guys have done a lot of things for election integrity. Of course, Zuckerbucks, you can hit on that for a moment. But one of the things I really want you to drill down on is you guys just passed a strong photo identification law. And I want everyone to understand, this is an 85% issue, not voter ID. You'll get on a plane with an electric bill, right? You have to show photo identification. 85% of the people in this country want photo identification to vote. Utah did it, and I want you to talk about how that got done.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Hogan. First of all, if you'll indulge me, thanks to Matt and Mercedes
Absolutely.
and the entire CPAC team. This is why we're all here together. Need some energy, though. I heard Dallas CPAC was pretty excited. How excited are you? Let me hear you. Thank you. Hogan, you have been such a strong advocate for full, free, and fair elections. I wish you were a panelist and we had more time to hear from you. Quickly, I do want to say Jeff Landry has been one of the national leaders amongst us, the state AGs. Clearly in his state, he will be the next governor of Louisiana, ladies and gentlemen. And we need to help him get there so he can continue to do what he's been doing there from the gubernatorial mansion. But this is how you do it. He's got a gator hunt. If y'all want to go hunt a big gator, go hunt down in Louisiana and get yourself some of these boots came from one of his gators right there. And I promise I'll answer the question, but I'm here with one of my heroes, is Patty Mark Meckler and Convention of States Nation out there. God bless you for what you're doing in so many arenas, but particularly in this one, because when we woke up in 2020, I got calls from my left of center friends saying, hey, you Republicans are just figuring out how important elections are right now.
Right.
And let's drill down to what they've been doing, training poll watchers, judges, all of those things that are basic necessities. No one does it better, and we need to all come together to amplify what Convention of States is doing 100%, 1,000% more. So it's such an honor, Patty. Thank you. This is a pretty simple, like you said, 85% issue. I don't know why every state, at least every red state, doesn't have strict photo ID laws. Why do I say that? Because right now, and I think everyone can agree, even Democrats, that the right to vote is one of our most fundamental rights. And right now, the best way to assure that you are who you say you are is to have a photo ID. Let me give you some perspective. My father, who was an immigrant to this country, said the greatest day in his life, next to marrying my mama, because he wasn't a dumb man, was taking the oath of citizenship. And he was so happy to have an ID that identified him as American, and that he could go and exercise that right to vote and show them that he was who he said he was, that he had sacrificed and fought to come here and then fought for this country. And what you'll hear so often, Hogan, we've talked about this from the other side is, well, you can't require that because it puts such an undue burden on minorities, puts such an undue burden on people of lower income situations. Well, I think I'm a pretty good perspective on that. Not only do I check a few different minority boxes, we grew up pretty poor on the other side of the tracks. And I'll tell you what, even when my daddy had, may he rest in peace, he's no longer with us, 2 or 3 jobs, he still found a way, no matter what it took. If he had to go down to the municipal building, wait in line, make appointments to get the permit he needed, to get his license renewed. And I think it's offensive when the other side tells us that we're not strong enough, that we're not responsible enough to be able to go get a photo ID and show up and vote. And I think that's the message that we need to get out, because you said it, and this is the last point I'll make. There are a lot less important things that we make people show up with a photo ID to do, including checking in at a federal building, the same federal government that's suing states like Arizona for their photo ID laws. You can't go up there and visit a federal agency without what? Your photo ID. So thank goodness for guys like Jeff Landry, Ken Paxton right here in the great state of Texas, who's pushed strong photo ID laws, but also prosecuted criminals here in Texas.
Right.
Voter fraud. He's pushed back against unsolicited mail-in ballots. And we as state AGs will continue to push back against the federal government on laws, proposed laws like H.R. 1, H.R. 4, that try to co-opt our constitutional right as states and take over that election apparatus. And we will continue to do everything we can to stand up as state Republican AGs to make sure that all of you, all of us, can enjoy full, free, and fair elections.
Thank you, Sean. Really appreciate that. You know, I have the pleasure of actually working with a wonderful woman named Alveda King, who is Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece, over at the America First Policy Institute. And Alveda told me something about photo ID I'd not thought of. And she said, Hogan, in the 60s, what we were fighting for was personhood. If you take away the need for me to show my identification to prove I am who I say I am when I go to vote, you're taking away my individual rights and freedoms. I'm an individual person. I'd not thought of it in those terms, but it really does matter, and it really is something important we have to do in these states if we're going to have free and fair and honest elections, for sure. Now, I'm also here to tell everyone in the room, while we have faced challenges in the past, the right and the left have been complaining about elections in this country for decades. Remember Florida in 2000? Anybody? We've traded hanging chads and dimpled ballots for mass mail-in and drop boxes, but there are still problems. I'm here to tell you to take heart and have hope because of the woman sitting to my left, and that's Patty Meckler. Woo! Now, Patty, people in this room are hearing kind of for the first time that not only do we have a defensive strategy for some of this stuff, folks, we're on offense now on election integrity in this country. In large part to what these two gentlemen are doing, what we're doing at the Center for Election Integrity, but also what Patty's doing. So please tell us more about that, how we can all get involved and help out.
Well, I'm so excited to share with you all that at Convention of States Action, we have organized the largest conservative grassroots army in the nation, and we are blessed to get to recruit them, train them, and deploy them in order to preserve our liberties. Now, at Convention of States, we have almost 5.3 million citizen activists, and they are strategically located to cover 100% of the state legislative districts. This has never been done before in America. My husband led the National Tea Party movement, so we know very much about raising up a grassroots army. But this time, we did it much more strategically. And we did this so that we could actually deploy these grassroots activists to pass the Convention of States resolution in the state legislatures. We also track every single state legislature's start date, end date, filing date, crossover deadlines, committee chair assignments, and we track them to the activists that we have. So we know how to deploy these activists who are the constituents of these state legislators in order to put the appropriate pressure on them to pass whatever legislation we need to pass. So this has been extremely beneficial as a strategy for passing Convention of States. But now as we realize that our election integrity is definitely under threat, we're able to deploy these activists and put pressure on the state legislators to pass election integrity bills in the state legislature. So I feel like we've been organized for such a time as this, as we find ourselves in today, for so many reasons. But the other thing is that the Convention of States is based on the principles of self-governance. And what that means, too, is whatever liberties that we have that are under threat, our activists in our states are able to organize and train our citizen activists on how to become election judges, poll watchers, election workers, clerks, as well as train them how to do voter roll cleanup, which absolutely needs to be done. And this isn't just digitally, but also because we train our people how to block walk, we also are training them how to clean up the voter rolls and get affidavits face to face.
And may I make a point on that, if I may? The voter roll cleanup talking point, that's an 88% issue. Right, left, center, it doesn't matter. 88% of the people want, not dead people on the voter rolls. And the Public Interest Legal Foundation sued Michigan for 25,000 dead people on the rolls, 5,000 of which have been on for more than 15 years. North Carolina just found over 400,000 people on the voter rolls that should be kicked off. West Virginia found over 300,000 votes that should be kicked off. So talk more about how important that is to your organization as well.
You know what, it's important because, in the principles of self-governance, it's all about us as individuals and as citizens engaging in activities that help to provide us more liberties, more freedom, and certainly because the voter rolls need cleanup, this is what our activists want to do.
Right.
When we strategically built out this grassroots army, it was not just to pass the Convention of States. It was not just to call America's first convention. It was not even just for the ratification process of any amendments that are proposed, but it was to hold the line of liberty forevermore in the states. So what I can urge each and every one of you in this room to do is go to conventionofstates.com and sign the petition, because the signing of the petition is what lets us know that you're a true conservative and that we can begin to train you how to engage in these activities in every single state across the nation. So we're super excited to be able to invite each and every one of you into the fold of the largest conservative grassroots army in the nation and provide you the training that you need in order to be engaged citizen activists in every single state and to clean up our voter rolls and to help election integrity all across this nation.
Thank you, Patty. Appreciate that. So we just have a couple of minutes left, but I really want to go down the row and just quickly to summarize. Talk about some of the things you guys have upcoming in your legislative sessions, some things you've seen that the Democrats are doing now that, we caught them doing a lot of things in the last election. Now, evil never sleeps, and so they're going to try new things in different ways to try and mess with the integrity. What are you guys looking at coming up?
Well, look, we've tried to close any particular loopholes that may still exist in Louisiana's law to ensure that the Zuckbucks don't come back in. Our governor, who's a Democrat, has vetoed the bill again and again and again. Yeah. I think what this shows, Hogan, is that when you have great attorney generals, look, I came in after Sean Reyes. I learned a lot from him. And these are the guys, the AGs are you guys that are standing on the wall protecting your liberties. And the answer to fix our country rests just with the topic that we're talking about here. The things that Pat is doing, saying, guess what? We're going to take our state rights back. We're going to be able to govern ourselves, and the people that are going to protect us are people like Sean Reyes and the rest of the AGs that are out there. And so, again, when you ensure that your election process is transparent and it's fair and it's solid and that every eligible voter has an opportunity to vote and that every legal vote is then counted, guess what? Things work.
Right.
It's like magic. It's not that, it's easy.
You win some, you lose some, but you have confidence in the outcome. That's what's so key.
Well, at least the field is fair.
No
That's right.
question.
Everybody gets to compete.
Sean?
Yeah, thanks so much. Just riffing off what Jeff said for a second, if you have a great AG in your state, please give them a hug. Send them a little bit of encouragement. They have death threats from cartels, from left activists. Sometimes you can't really tell the difference. And they're putting it all out on the line. One point that I want to make that we didn't really get a chance to address, Hogan, is that we need everything that Patty and the Convention of States is doing even more right now because of the crisis on the border and the open border policies that we have, because folks are flooding in. And guess what? Pretty soon there's going to be policies to let them all start voting, or they already are voting.
Right.
And we just don't know because we don't have photo ID laws that are strong in every state. So I wanted to highlight that those types of crises that this administration is creating only prioritizes even more what we're talking about. So with that, is there anything, Center for Election Integrity, you guys did such incredible work, and I know Patty's going to close us off, but anything that you're seeing? So I get to be the interviewer for just a half a second?
Well, yes, you do, but I'm going to let Patty finish first, and I'm going to answer that question. I'm going to let you.
Good shot.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Good try, though.
Well, I know you had mentioned that this defensive strategy to clean up our elections but then there's also this offensive strategy. So the other thing I want to share with you is that in 2020, our grassroots activists also worked actively on turning out the like-minded, low-propensity voters that nobody really works on. I look at the voter pyramid like the top of the pyramid is like you and I. Nothing can keep us from voting. The middle of the pyramid, the parties do a pretty good job, especially at the local level, turning them out. What we specialize in is turning out the low-propensity, like-minded voters with our activists. And that means we do the block walking, we do the phone calling, we do the text messaging, and we get and turn them out to vote. So we're going to also be doing that, and instead of just tipping 250 races in 2020, our aim is 450 races in this next election.
Right.
And so great people here, like Attorney General Landry, who will be running for governor. These are the people that we want to make sure represent us, that have great integrity, and that are serving our people well. So I ask you to
I will just end. Thank you very much for everything you guys are doing. Thank you for being here today. I'm just going to end with this. Y'all, we live in the greatest country in the history of the face of the world. No question about it. We are not the cause of the world's evil. We are not evil at our core. We are a beacon of strength, of hope, of goodness, of democracy, peace all over the world. There is a reason that people in Cuba walk through the streets holding that American flag, chanting liberty and freedom, because they know what the left doesn't, that this country is amazing. They all want to come here because they know it at their core. I'm a nobody from nowhere, and I got to walk into the Oval Office every single day and give the President of the United States advice. Now, he never took it, but I got to give it to him. But I know with people involved like this, people involved in this room, and everybody here at CPAC, the future of this country, folks, is better and brighter than it has ever been. Thank you again for being here. God bless each and every one of you. God bless CPAC. Y'all have a great conference. Thank you to our panelists.